Hello students, you are welcome to Nuni Asar's English classes. Today we'll study third chapter of grade 11 entitled Discovering Tut. The saga continues. Saga means the story of bravery. The chapter is written by A.R. Williams. Before we start the chapter, let's have a look at the study points. So we'll study a little about the life of A.R. Williams. Then we'll see the introduction of the chapter and then explanation, episodic explanation of the chapter. By the way, this is a historical chapter, so there is no particular theme. And if we talk about the theme, then obviously it is the attempt and try to unravel the mystery of the death of the king. We talk about the author, A.R. Williams. He developed love for reading at a very young age, and when he was in his fourth class, his teacher gave all the students assignment to write their fictional works, means the short stories. After writing that short story and getting it checked and evaluated by the teacher, he got confidence, and an idea occurred to him that he also could become a good author who could write entertaining stories for the people. And in the due course of time, he realized this dream and he became a very renowned author also. Discovering Tut, the saga continues, that gives an insight into the mystery surrounding the life and death of Tutankhamun. King Tut, his full name is Tutankhamun. In short, he is known as, and he is popular also with the name King Tut only. He was the last teenage ruler of the powerful Pharaoh dynasty of Egypt. His family, his dynasty, ruled for centuries over Egypt. However, Tut only ruled for 9 years and then he died mysteriously and unexpectedly. This chapter is an attempt, actually revolves around an attempt. It's a, the narration of the attempt to know about the secret of his death, the mystery of his death. First, we'll see the key phrases which are given in the textbook before the lesson, and they are the technical words over here, will help us to understand the chapter with the better insight. Forensic reconstruction, actually this is the process of medical examination which help us to take down the records. Whatever the records just come out, the results come out because of the medical process, we make a record of those data and facts. So that report, creating the report and taking down the data is known as forensic reconstruction. Scudded across. Scudded means ran. Actually, the clouds in the sky are called scudded across, means the clouds were running across the sky. This word is, that used for the clouds. Cascade gray, dark gray. When monsoon season is there, we know when the dark clouds cover the sky, overcast is there, so the light becomes dim and the sky grows very dark. So that is the scene. Resurrection. The word resurrect means to come back to life. Basically, the word is related to Jesus Christ after his crucifixion. After a few days, he came back to life. He became alive again. That process is known as resurrection, coming back to life, becoming alive again. Funerary treasures. Treasures, collection of the valuable things. Golden jewelry or silver jewelry. So all these are treasures. Funerary, the jewelry or any artifacts which are valuable artifacts which are kept with the dead body of the people is known as funerary treasure. Circumvented means deceived, befooled and cheated. Computed tomography is the full form of CT scan. Eerie detail. Eerie means strange and surprising. So surprisingly strange, that details of the result of CT scanning. About Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun died 3300 years ago, and he was the heir of a powerful Egyptian royal family, Pharaoh dynasty. We already studied about it. He was buried with a lot of wealth, eatables, and clothes. And he is reported to be the richest mummy so far. More than 600 mummies have been excavated. They have been discovered and they have been CT scanned. The records have been created about them. But so far, Tut's mummy is found to be having the richest wealth with it, because he comes from the royal family and he was the last heir of the family also. His mummy first time was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, and then it was CT scanned. CT scan in 2005 actually. On 5th January 2005, what happened? Let's see. First time the mummy was taken out of tomb. Not first time actually. First time it was taken out by Howard Carter in 1922, and later on in 2005 it was taken out by Zahi Hawas and his team. So the mummy was taken out from the tomb. The pronunciation of this word is tomb. Strong winds were blowing that day, and dark clouds, the grey clouds, they were running across the sky, scudding across the sky. And when this happened, some of the people, some of them just kidded, they cut joke, and some took it seriously also. They thought that the change in the weather conditions was because of the curse of Pharaoh, the young Pharaoh. That means the soul of King Tut had cursed the people who were trying to disturb his tomb and his mummy. When the people came to know about the incident of CT scanning of Tut's mummy, so they started visiting the spot from far and wide, and they came from different corners of the world. Tourists started coming over there. In these photos you can see this is the King's Valley, where the royal people of Egypt used to be buried as that last rite, the funeral rite. And this is the entrance of the tomb of King Tut. Outside the tomb over here on the wall you can see these are the murals. Paintings and pictures on the wall are known as murals, M-U-R-A-L-S. It is written in the textbook also. And this is the inside scene. Actually, the tomb of the grave of King Tut is 26 feet deep underground, and it is constructed by cutting a huge rock. So from safety purpose it is very stronghold. Howard Carter and the mummy. As we know that in 1922 Howard Carter was the team leader, and he was given archaeological, team leader, and he was given the responsibility of discovering these mummies. So he came across and discovered King Tut's this grave and his mummy also. So he was the British archaeologist who discovered Tut's tomb, and after discovering, he hastily ransacked in antiquity. He took out that coffin. Coffin actually is a box which is used to keep the dead bodies. He checked everything inside, and ransacked means to check something very quickly. Antiquity means old things, because that young king died 3300 years back, and whatever the things, jewelry and clothing, everything, whatever it was put with him had become historically valuable thing by now. That's why it is called antiquity. He started investigating his three-nested coffin. The coffin containing dead body was having 3 chambers. So he investigated one by one all the 3 chambers. In the first section, in the first chamber, he found that there was a shroud. Shroud is the cloth which is used to cover the dead body. And this shroud was adorned, decorated with the garlands of willow, olive leaves, wild celery, lotus petal and cornflower. All these are the vegetables and plants. So it was decorated with all these, you can say, flowers and plant leaves and all that. And this gives an idea that burial ceremony of the mummy was done somewhere in April, because these things are found in Egypt. They are found around the month of April or May. So the archaeologists have just a calculation. Maybe the mummy was, put into the stone somewhere in April only. The second section was having eatables and jewelry, and in the third section was the mummy of the king. So in this way, Howard Carter checked all the three chambers and sections of the coffin. Mummy's mutilation and Carter's defense. Because they had to take out the things, and main purpose of taking out mummy was CT scanning or investigation, medical checkup and investigation to find out the causes of his death. So the mummy kept in the sun. When they tried, so Howard Carter and his team faced a challenge. The challenge was the mummy was fixed to the bottom of the coffin, because at the time of burial, his chest was covered with the resin. Resin actually is a sticky and adhesive substance. So a lot of resin was poured on the chest of the young king, his mummy, and later on it became very hard. So now when they try to move the body, remove out of the coffin, they couldn't do, they failed. The reason being the substance was so, that hard and rigid, it didn't allow the body to move a little. So the dead body, this mummy coffin itself was kept outside into the sun, and the temperatures were 149 Fahrenheit. But the resin was so hard, it didn't buzz, didn't melt even the littlest. So now Howard Carter was left with no other option than to cut the dead body from major parts and then take it. So he chiseled the body away. Chisel actually is a very sharp, that edged instrument which is used basically by the blacksmiths to cut the iron bars. So they used that iron instrument to cut the major points of the dead body, and piece by piece the body was taken out of the coffin. The reason being the coffin was made up of gold, and they had to keep it into, that archaeological department wanted to keep it as a, as a treasure with them. So later on, the dead body was put back into a wooden, that box, that is coffin. So golden coffin was taken away, and in place of golden coffin, they put the dead body back into the wooden coffin. When people asked Howard Carter, when they came to know, actually they started criticizing and they started to blame him that he mutilated the body, he damaged the body very badly by cutting from the, that from major parts and all. And Howard Carter defended himself by saying that if he hadn't done that, then some thieves could have done the same. And the main motto of Howard Carter and team was to resolve the mystery of the death of the king, but main purpose of thief could have been just to rob the mummy. They could have taken away all the, that costly jewelry and all, and they could have thrown the dead body away without thinking even, that littlest about the status of the mummy. So he said, I was left with no other option than cutting it and taking it out. That's why he did it. Now, a shift in the attitude of archaeology. We are told that almost 30, 40 or 50 years back, the people of archaeological department used to think in different way. Their main focus was on the treasures. They were interested in the valuable things which were kept with the mummy. And they were less interested in the intriguing mysteries of death. Yes, the mummies were taken out from the tombs and the graves in the names of medical examination and in the names of finding out the facts of their death, the causes and the reasons of their death. But still the main motto of them was to collect more and more valuable articles found with the mummies. But in the meantime, There came a lot of change in the mindset of the people, and now they started using the sophisticated tools, the ultra modern medical tools and devices to find out the causes of that. And from treasures, their focus shifted on finding out the causes of death. So this change happened during this 30-40 years span. When the CT scanned the mummy of this, that young king Tut, startling facts were there. Surprising facts came into light, and they were under the resin cake because his chest was covered with the resin, that sticky and hard adhesive substance. So under the cake of that resin, they found that breastbone and some front ribs, they were missing. And it was really startling and surprising. What happened? How the breastbones were missing and how the front ribs were missing from the mummy. What could have been the reason? It was, the challenge in front of the archaeological department. Tut Dynasty, the family line. We are told about Amenhotep III. But A.R. Williams says that the relation is not confirmed, but one thing is sure, this Amenhotep III was either father of King Tut or he was grandfather. He was one of the two. And Amenhotep III ruled Egypt for 4 decades, for 40 years, and those 40 years were the golden period of Egypt, as well as Tut's dynasty also. Then later on he was succeeded by his son Amenhotep IV, and Amenhotep IV is said to be very crazy ruler. He did so many things which proved that he was a real, crazy person. He promoted the worship of god Aten. Earlier in Egypt, people used to worship god Amun. But when he came into power, he proclaimed, that proclamation was made, official announcement was made to the people that from his day 1 onwards, the country will worship god Aten. Aten means God's son. And he attacked god Amun. His temples were smashed and they were closed also. His images in the temples also were smashed and broken down. So all these things prove that he was very crazy. And he didn't stop over here. He changed the religious capital. Earlier it was Thebes, but later on he changed from Thebes to Akhetaten. And in this way, he did all the activities which people take it to be in a crazy way. Later on, he was succeeded by Samankhare, who ruled for short and then vanished. After him, one more, that next heir came into power, but he ruled for short and then people don't know what happened to him. Whether he died or went away or what happened, no any clue could be found about him. History is silent about Samankhare. And after Samankhare came into power, Tutankhamun, actually over here by mistake it is Tutankhaten, but Tutankhamun came into power. King Tut came into power. He was enthroned. The moment he came into power, he rehabilitated the previous customs and previous system. He brought back all the traditions back into the lives of the people. He asked people to start worshipping god Amun again. He opened all the temples and change of the religious capital. Everything which was, the things done by Amenhotep IV were undone by Tutankhamun. So he rehabilitated all the previous system and customs in the country, and he ruled for 9 years, and then suddenly he also disappeared from the scene. Means he died unexpectedly in a very mysterious way. Zahi Hawas and his team. In 1922, Howard Carter was given the responsibility. Actually, he discovered that tomb, but in 2005, Zahi Hawas and his team, they were given responsibility of CT scanning the mummy of King Tut and to find out some facts and data related to his death if possible. So he started with his team the medical examination of the mummy with the help of the CT scanner. That CT scanner which they were using was donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens. Siemens, actually this is the name of the company which manufactured that CT scanner. King Tut is one of the first mummies to be CT scanned, in death as in life, moving regally ahead of his countrymen. Students, this line is to be underlined and to be understood. Actually, many times question is asked from this area. What does it mean that in death as well as in life moving regally ahead of his countrymen? We know that Tutankhamun was a king. So obviously he was a leader of the people. When he was alive, he was leader of the people. And when he died, his mummy was the first mummy to be CT scanned. So he led all the mummies. His mummy became leader of all the mummies in case of CT scanning. That's why he is said to be leading the countrymen when he was alive and when he was dead. The $1 million scanner, when this process of CT scanning was going on, suddenly that CT scanner broke down, stopped working in between because some sands blew into the fence and choked it. Egypt, we know high temperatures are there and storms keeps blowing over the sandy area. So some sands, that went into the fence of the CT scanner and caused technical mistake. The fence choked and they stopped working. At this moment, some people start laughing, even the guards start laughing, and they said, maybe this is because of the curse of the young Pharaoh. The soul of the young king is cursing the people who are disturbing his tomb, disturbing his mummy. But then some attendants, they took out the damaged fence and they went to the storeroom, they picked up the new ones, they brought new ones and fixed back, and the CT scanner started working once again. The process was completed this way. After recording the data, mummy was again put into the tomb and Zahi Hawas took a sigh of relief, completion of the task, and had a tight sleep that night. The reason being, he was the team leader and he was afraid if anything goes wrong, so blame will come to his head. So he was very much in tension and he was very much vigilant about everything. So constantly he was observing the things, he was monitoring and he was leading the team. This had given him a great tension. At the end of the process, CT scanning and forensic reconstruction was complete. He just checked the data and found that everything was right in shape and in its own place. He felt very happy and took a deep sigh of relief. So students, this is the lesson based on the history, on the real life of King Tutankhamun and his mummy. I hope you got the gist of the chapter. We'll see you soon with the next video. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.